Greetings, lords, ladies, and fellow adventurers. The Lootverse grows larger with each passing day, and as such, it can get difficult to keep track of all the various projects and their amazing progress. And new projects sprout forth every single day. But don't fret, I'm Demon Blade Genji, and I've got you covered. Introducing Keeping Up with the Adventurers. In this series, I'll be giving you an epic but abridged version of the happenings of the week. Consider this your too long didn't read in video format. Today we'll be covering the February 17th Town Hall and some other Discord shenanigans. The first speaker was 3P Wave, and he proceeded to enlighten us on the vision of his project, Crypts and Caverns. CNC are on-chain maps that are being integrated into the Realms project. They are essentially the dungeons that we'll be sending adventurers into. You see, Realms and CNC both provide a sense of place in the Lootverse. These two projects essentially give us the land we need. 3P Wave, being the visionary that he is, quickly saw how both projects could interact and benefit from each other. CNC is more than dungeon maps. It is actually an ecosystem in itself, and they chose Realms to be the first implementation of said ecosystem. And boy, they intend to get it right. Realms provides us with a high-level view of the world. Crypts and Caverns, on the other hand, goes beneath that world, into the nitty-gritty. It shows us the underground. The underwater, even. CNC is actually going to be generating unique resources that will actually be usable by realm holders when they proceed to build stuff on their realms. 3P Wave continued to share his vision with us. Step 1. Enable dungeon staking. This allows us as holders to be rewarded. Step 2. Make the realms integration freaking awesome. Like I said, they are dedicated to expanding realms. I mean, Realms isn't even out yet, and we already have DLC. Take that, Cyberpunk. Step 3. Repeat step 2 with even more projects. CNC is building an ecosystem after all. As the community embraced the fact that CNC had become an integral part of the realm sphere, the end of the town hall saw the crypt's floor move. Significantly, but for a very brief time period. However, this would not be the end. A few days later, on Sunday, the Realm Lords would drop an amazing leak. Before this moment, Realms had always been essentially just drawings of a map. They lived inside our minds, but we couldn't really explore them. We didn't know how they were connected. We didn't know how the Realms world looked until this dropped. Out of seemingly nowhere, one announcement changed everything. The ability to see how the world looks completely, how the realms connect, how the orders are placed, how the crypts and caverns are actually all layered underneath the realms. It had like an effect of changing everything, of showing everyone, yeah, this is real. It's not done yet, but it's getting there. We can now see the voxel maps. We can see a 3D representation of our realms. We can even see the resources. The effect this had is people FOMO'd into realms and crypts. Realms went from 1.8 floor to 2.4, and CNC went from a 0.13 floor to a 0.30 in just a matter of hours. Realms and crypts flew off the shelves as people were desperate to become lords. Next on the agenda was Hyperloot. Hyperloot is a very unique project. They intend to be the visualization layer for loot. Essentially, what they want to do is be able to transform loot, M-Loot, and Genesis Adventurers into 2D and 3D representations. And then these 2D and 3D representations, which are open source, CC0, are basically usable for TV shows, movies, video games, comics, etc. So loot is basically a couple of lines on a black background. Well, Hyperloot changes that into very amazing avatars that are usable in games and such. These guys are very experienced game developers, and they are building something truly incredible. Watch this teaser, get hyped, join the Discord, and support their community.
GM Adventures.
Next up on the agenda, members of the Divine DAO and Genesis Project have teamed up to spearhead a proposal. This proposal is for a series of grants that can be given to authors, artists to create stuff such as poems, comic books, stories, maybe even books that happen within the Lootverse. These stories wouldn't just be random fantasy stories, but these stories would be grounded within the dimensions of loot. In order to streamline the creative process and add a general sense of cohesion to our canon, the team put together a lore development kit. The term was coined by Loot Hero. The lore development kit, LDK, outlines many things such as timelines, weapon rankings, classes, and the orders. Essentially, the LDK, which obviously is inspired by SDK because all of our lore is on chain, so the development kit, it's quite poetic really, and forms the foundation of the Lootverse. And that's why it's on loot.foundation. Check it out if you want to learn more about the loot lore. Honorary mention, a glossolalia is putting together a mood board for inspiration regarding the various ages of the Lootverse. I have included a link in the description. Feel free to check it out. And now, lords and ladies of the realms, I must announce our most important news. On the 16th of February 2022, the first Realm Lords Guild was formed, led by none other than the notorious Dark Lord Grug. Meanwhile, the forces of light are nowhere to be found. As expected, they cower within their cities, hoping for a hero to save them, but there is none in sight. This is Demon Blade Genji, telling you, join the dark side, or else.